I've been waiting for this day for 10 years, my love. Alex, dressed in a dark suit, was embracing Sarah tightly. His hands roamed over her curves, lingering at her full breasts, trying to unbutton her dress with a mischievous smile. Sarah gently pushed his hand away. "Not yet," she whispered, her voice soft. "I'll make it up to you, but you have to wait for the right moment, please." "How much longer, Sarah? Sometimes you say it's your time of the month, other times you're tired, or you claim to have a stomachache. 1,000 excuses." Sarah adjusted her dress neatly and smiled. "If you don't eat the rice will still be there, my love. You've waited 10 years for this, a few more days won't hurt, will they?" Not letting her pull away, Alex wrapped his arms around her waist, pulling her closer. "Tell me exactly when, Sarah. When will I finally get to savor you?" Sarah chuckled, playfully pinching his cheeks. "When you completely trust me." Alex frowned. "Don't you think I trust you? Why would you think that? Every time I ask you about it, you always avoid the topic. If you trusted me, you would have told me everything by now. Try to understand my nature, my love." With a sigh, Alex took a small red string from his neck and held it before her. "This is my biggest secret. It's a protective talisman that has helped my career flourish. This small red gem I'm wearing." Sarah gazed intently at the small red gem. "Really? That powerful? Is it a treasure from some bodhisattva?" "No, this item helps me control a soul, a spirit that has turned into a demon. It grants me any wish. It's very effective, very powerful. It's a type of dark magic amulet made by an ethnic tribe, created from a mixture of ashes from 7 cemeteries, 7 abandoned houses, 7 wells, 7 caves, 7 termite mounds, 7 abandoned fields, and 7 casinos. It contains the remains of a corpse that died over 100 years ago, buried in fertile land. The oil is from 7 deceased girls, and it has been ritually purified every night at a cremation ground, absorbing the powerful yin energy. Wearing this amulet brings immense luck and assistance. I can wish for anything I desire." Sarah gasped, impressed. "Wow, that's amazing, and what are you making it do now?" Alex hesitated, then decisively said, "I'm having it kill Chris." Sarah flinched but quickly pretended to agree. "Killing someone? That makes me feel uneasy, my love. He was your classmate since elementary school, after all." Alex clenched his jaw, but his voice was full of suppressed rage. "It's just that he's poor. Anything I wanted, he had. Teachers, friends, his mother, everyone liked him. I even confessed my feelings to him after bypassing our teachers, but he just ignored me. Then you came along and you fell for him, not me. I couldn't bear that humiliation. I just want him to disappear from my life as soon as possible." Sarah leaned into his shoulder, her voice soothing. "Are you mad at me, darling? We were young, ignorant, and our thoughts were shallow. We couldn't see the Mount Tai that is you. But I've come to my senses now. Please don't be angry with me anymore." Alex gently stroked Sarah's hair, a fleeting cold glint in his eyes, but he quickly composed himself. "It's a little late for you to realize, but it's okay. Chris must die. I've already instructed the spirit." "Oh, Alex, I heard that if you want the spirit to stop working, or if you no longer wish to possess it, there's a way to neutralize it, right? What if you change your mind? What should I do then?" "It depends on the case. The ways of spirits are endless, not like math where you just apply a formula and it's done." Sarah then said, "But what if this gem falls or breaks? That would also affect it, right?" "It would, but not enough to completely stop it. It would take someone with very strong spiritual power, coupled with breaking it, for it to truly be neutralized." Alex suddenly fell silent. He had accidentally revealed a forbidden secret. He quickly pulled Sarah closer, his hands caressing her, his lips pressing against hers. "I've told you everything. Are you ready to make me happy now?" Sarah playfully wriggled away. "Not yet. My parents are going to the countryside tomorrow night, darling. I'll give you all of tomorrow night freely. I'm not interested in anything less." Alex's face lit up. He kissed her, then let her gracefully walk out of the room. He watched her slender figure, her captivating curves, and wished time would speed up. Sarah returned to her office and started searching on Google. Far away, Chris sat on a lush green lawn, bathed in the fading purple hues of the sunset, his eyes fixed on the boundless void before him. Night slowly descended, and in a few moments, darkness enveloped the earth. A mystical night, a lonely night. He still sat there on the green grass, but the sunset had faded, just like his soul, just like his heart at this moment. He didn't blame his ex for leaving him for a rich husband. People, both men and women, wished for a life free from hardship. But if he were her, he wouldn't have abandoned her so easily. He was the type of person who loved to the very end, not swayed by wealth or other beauty. Her leaving him like this meant she had never truly loved him. Without love, there could be no loyalty. With a soft sigh, he looked up at the deep black sky, twinkling with stars. That song suddenly echoed in his ears. Just keep going, this love means nothing. Yes, just keep going, we were not meant to be. He was just a poor Ph.D. student without connections, with no opportunities. On his day off, in unfortunate circumstances, he had to work as a bricklayer. Lost in endless sorrow, he saw a shadowy figure appear before him, about 5 meters away. The figure was blurry in the night, and he couldn't tell if it was male or female. The figure moved closer to him and spoke. "Don't leave, boy." Chris froze. The ghostly voice, coupled with the gloomy, cold face, made him jump up. "Who are you? Why do you say that?" The figure curled its lips into an emotionless smile, its eyes radiating a terrifying mystery, then suddenly vanished. Chris startled, his heart pounding as if it wanted to leap out of his chest. He looked front and back, but there was no one there, no ghost. He began to run, but the shadow behind him followed. He couldn't tell if its movement was walking or running. Its feet didn't touch the ground, so it wasn't walking or running, it was gliding. "Scared? What are you scared of?" the ghostly voice echoed, making Chris's blood run cold. As he ran for his life, he tried to reason with himself, wondering what he had done to make this ghost suddenly appear and haunt him. He lived a decent life. He was only poor, not evil or deceitful, and never lied or cheated. Could he have accidentally picked up something related to this ghost? No, he hadn't picked up or kept anything of anyone's. He didn't even have money to buy anything new, which was why his girlfriend had left him. Or perhaps he had just sat on the ghost's grave? This ghost was an orphan, so no one tended its grave. Over time, without offerings or incense, the grave had sunken into a mound of earth, unrecognizable as a burial site. If that were the case, his life was doomed. As he ran, he suddenly tripped and fell face-first to the ground with a thud. He raised his hand to feel the back of his head, expecting blood, but found only a painful bump. "Damn, my nose must be broken," he thought bitterly. An icy chill ran down his spine, prompting him to turn his head. Behind him, a pale white face with a tightly stitched mouth stared intently at him, then shrieked piercingly as its dark eyes flashed a fiery red. "Wake up, buddy." "Huh, ghost, where?" Chris flailed, his cheek stinging from his friend's hard slap. He looked around the room, startled. "Was I dreaming?" "No, it was real. The ghost was chasing you and you fell onto the bed. That's what happened." "What a ghost." "I'm messing with you. You've never seen a ghost, yet you fall so easily. You were screaming and thrashing your arms in your sleep. It annoyed me, so I slapped you twice to wake you up. What's wrong?" The clock showed 5:00 a.m. Chris rubbed his face to wake up, still confused. As his hand brushed his nose, a sharp pain shot through him. "Why does my nose hurt just like in the dream?" he wondered in a daze. His friend, Ken, looked at his pained expression, his eyebrows furrowed in concern. "You said your nose hurt in the dream? Why does your nose hurt now, just like when you fell in the dream?" Ken pondered for a moment. Chris continued, "The only difference is that in the dream, my nose bled a lot, but now it just hurts, no blood. I'll go get it checked after work this afternoon. Could it be broken? Why would I have such a dream? I'm so scared." He frowned, a contemplative look on his face. "I think I watched too many horror movies. What if the ghost I saw and the injury in my dream become real?" "Tell me the details." "Oh, it's nothing." Chris, exhausted, stepped off the bed and glared at his friend. "Most likely, you're being haunted." After saying that, the two friends stared at each other in horror. From that morning on, Chris worked like a zombie. Losing his girlfriend was a small matter compared to being haunted by a ghost. Luckily, his job as a bricklayer didn't require much brain power. Just laying bricks straight and smoothing plaster according to the design was enough. But sometimes, the ghost's image and voice would echo in his mind, making him freeze, holding his breath, oblivious to whether the bricks were laid straight or crooked. "Chris, what are you doing?" A fellow bricklayer suddenly appeared behind him, patted his shoulder, and asked, "Oh, I'm a bit tired." "Tired? More like you're mentally unstable, making the wall all crooked and messy." Chris started, looking at his freshly built wall. His head reeled. Not a single brick was aligned with the next. Some were vertical, some horizontal, some protruding, some sunken. This was certainly not the design. The young engineer appeared, frowning as he looked at Chris, standing beside Mr. Wilson, the homeowner. "I apologize, sir. I'll fix it." Mr. Wilson looked at Chris with concern. "If you're not feeling well today, go home and rest. Don't push yourself. I'll still pay you for today's work." "Yes, sir. Thank you, sir." Chris gave a wry smile. "Go home and rest. Get well." Chris thanked Mr. Wilson, then cast a worried glance at Ken before leaving. Ken watched his friend's retreating figure with uneasy anxiety. He's lucky to have such a generous and kind boss, otherwise he would have lost his job just like that. Mr. Wilson had a tough youth, often living hand-to-mouth, so as an adult, he easily sympathized with the struggles of laborers. Chris drove home, his mind wandering. He wasn't sure whether to go to a doctor or not. How could he tell a doctor he was being haunted by a ghost? Doctors weren't exorcists, and besides, his nose didn't hurt anymore. What was there to examine? It was strange. "I'll just get some sleep. Maybe it's just lack of sleep causing my nerves to act up. It'll be fine." So Chris locked the door to feel secure. Ken, his roommate, wouldn't be back until late afternoon. Just as he was drifting off to sleep, Chris was startled by a knock at the door. Someone was knocking on his room door. Who would be looking for him at this hour? Chris lay still feeling lazy and unwilling to get up. After listening for a while and hearing no more knocking, he assumed someone had just knocked on the wrong door, so he closed his eyes and tried to sleep. The knocking slowly echoed again. Chris sighed, annoyed, and muttered, "Who is it? If you're here, say something. Who knocks so silently like a ghost?" Silence again. After 2 rounds of knocking, the room returned to quietness. It was a weekday during office hours. Everyone in the boarding house was either at work or school. He hadn't seen anyone home. If his roommate had returned, he would have been banging on the door. So who was it? Chris considered asking, "Who's there? What do you want?" But there was no reply. A cold shiver ran through him, raising goosebumps. Perhaps the temperature had suddenly dropped, making him cold. But how could it drop? It was almost noon, and though the weather in Hue wasn't as scorching as summer, it was still quite warm at midday. After a few seconds of hesitation, Chris decided not to open the door. He lay down again, certain it was nothing. The dry knocking echoed again. Chris held his breath, listening intently. This time there were 3 knocks, something truly terrifying. The door latch clicked open. Chris was horrified as the latch slid sideways as if someone was controlling it. The door slowly opened. Chris lay still, his heart pounding as he watched the opened door. No one was there. The entire spacious courtyard of the boarding house was empty, not a soul, so who had just knocked? Chris slowly sat up, frowning as he looked outside. A gust of wind suddenly blew into the room, bringing with it a few leaves and a cloud of dust. A strange chill descended, not the biting cold of winter. This cold penetrated his bones, his very soul. Chris shivered, unsure if it was from the cold, fear, or both. He pulled the thin blanket around his shoulders and got out of bed, walking to close the door to keep out the cold. As his hand touched the doorknob, he gasped. His hand had grasped something cold, slimy, and sticky. He was horrified to find that he wasn't holding the doorknob, but a rotting hand. "Here I am," the lifeless voice echoed again. A grotesque figure suddenly appeared before Chris, with disheveled hair, deep black eyes, and a mouth that stretched to its ears. It was the same ghost that had been haunting him. Chris screamed, quickly pulling his hand back. He slammed the door shut with a loud bang, then scrambled onto his bed, pulling the blanket tightly over his head. The room fell silent again, a heavy, suffocating silence. Chris huddled under the blanket, muttering Buddhist prayers. He saw the 4 legs of his bed shaking violently, as if 4 madmen were trying to lift them. Then, a chilling cackle filled the air, and right before Chris's eyes, the ghost's head appeared upside down from the ceiling, its tangled hair dangling over his forehead. The ghost whispered, "You're chanting the Great Compassion mantra incorrectly. You should chant it like *this. Chris shrieked, frantically pulling the blanket even tighter over his head, his body trembling uncontrollably, begging for salvation. A sound of laughter filled the room. Chris's ears buzzed. Never in his life had he encountered anything so terrifying. The fear was beyond his endurance. Chris gathered his courage and tried to banish the ghost in desperation. "Go away, ghost. We have no feud, no grudges, we don't even know each other. Why do you keep following me? Just go away, please." Suddenly, his leg was yanked hard. Chris gasped, not daring to look, clutching the blanket, still screaming. "Go away, ghost, just go away." A powerful punch, like a blow from the heavens, slammed into Chris's chest, shattering the chaotic atmosphere. "Are you crazy? What ghost?" "Oh, it's you again?" Chris craned his neck, his face pale, cold sweat trickling down his temples. He looked at his friend Ken, who had just appeared, utterly distraught. "Ken, you're back." Ken frowned, looking at Chris, then sighed. "I felt something was wrong, so I asked for the afternoon off to come check on you. Get up and eat. I bought you some pho." "Early this afternoon, I'm going to the doctor." "No, I'm not crazy, I'm being haunted. The ghost was just here, you have to believe me." "Yeah, I believe you, but now get up and eat your pho first. Afterwards, if the doctor can't help, we'll find you an exorcist." Chris staggered off the bed and into the bathroom, splashing water on his face, then sat down to eat. The fragrant aroma of pho helped him feel a little more alert. While Chris ate, Ken walked around the room, scratching his chin, wondering where to find an exorcist. After Chris finished his pho, he felt his body warm up, and the fear began to subside somewhat. He then asked, "So, when are we going? Where are we going to find this exorcist?" "What? You said we needed an exorcist, did you forget?" "No, I didn't forget. It's just that you asked, when are we going, and I don't even know where to find one." "What? You don't know any exorcists, yet you said it so confidently?" "Oh, I'm going to die," Chris's friend panicked. Ken patted his shoulder, comforting him. "Calm down, we're not going anywhere right now. I think I'll call my elders at home and ask. Maybe they know a solution or can introduce us to someone who can help." "Yeah, that sounds better," Chris agreed. He wondered if he should call his own parents, but they were already struggling at home, and hearing about him being haunted would only worry them. So he decided to leave it to his friend. Ken, though not handsome, was a fiercely loyal friend. Ken took out his phone. After a few rings, he flinched, hearing a booming voice from the phone. "Hello, this is your father. What trouble have you caused now?" "No, Dad. Why do you always think the worst of me?" "Because every time you call, your mother and I get a headache and lose money. You're either crashing into people with your car, or breaking things at someone else's house, or having to compensate some family. When will you ever be responsible? You're costing me more than I spent raising you." Chris overheard Ken's father scolding him, and he subtly glanced at his friend. Ken's father wasn't wrong. He wondered when his friend's recklessness would finally disappear. Ken glared at Chris, then cut his father off. Okay, that's enough, please. This isn't the time for your usual lecture. Today, I'm not calling to ask for money to pay for anything." "Oh, really, son? Have you gone crazy?" Ken's father's voice trailed off. Ken quickly continued, not letting his father ramble on. "Today, I need your advice. Do you and Mom know any exorcists or spiritual masters who can deal with ghosts?" Ken's father exclaimed loudly. "Oh my goodness, son. You want to learn to be an exorcist to deal with ghosts. That's not something just anyone can learn. You need to have a special spiritual connection." Ken interrupted his father, annoyed. "I'm not looking for one for myself, Dad. I'm asking for my roommate, Chris. He's being haunted. He's scared to death." "What? Chris is being haunted?" Chris snatched the phone from Ken's hand, unable to bear their absurd conversation any longer. He felt that if he left these two to talk, it would be morning before anything was settled. "Hello, Uncle. This is Chris." Ken slumped onto the bed, legs crossed. Ken's father's voice turned concerned. "Oh, Chris, what's wrong? Why are you being haunted by ghosts?" "Well, it's a long story, Uncle. I'll tell you later. I don't even know why a ghost is suddenly haunting me and scaring me day and night." Ken's father was surprised. "It's bothering you even during the day? Then it might not just be a ghost, it could be a demon. Let me ask around. If I find something, I'll call you back, okay?" Chris was overjoyed. "Yes, Uncle, thank you very much. Please ask quickly. I can't take this anymore." Chris hung up. Ken's father quickly asked one last question. "Wait, why are two of you living in the same place, working together, and only one of you is being haunted? Is Ken okay? Ken sprang up like lightning, grabbing the phone from Chris's hand, and cheerfully told his father, "I'm fine, Dad, don't worry. Ghosts are scared of me, not the other way around." Ken's father muttered, "Your stubbornness, your rebellious attitude, that's not going to scare off ghosts, son." Ken still grinned confidently. "The ghosts probably see how thick-headed I am and are afraid of getting tangled up with me and messing up their plans, Dad. You just focus on searching. Oh, and when you call, ask about Chris's situation too, okay? You're with your friend, so remember to look out for him and help him. Friends need each other most in times of trouble, understood?" "Understood, General Dad?" Ken placed the phone on the table, then glanced sideways at his friend, who was still looking a bit dazed. "All right, you should try to get some sleep to regain your strength. As long as you and I are home, no ghost will dare to scare you." "I hope so," Chris said, then climbed onto the bed. A few seconds later, he was snoring loudly. Perhaps being tormented by the ghost all this time had made him utterly exhausted. Now that his friend was sympathetic and his parents were helping find a master, he felt secure enough to fall into a deep sleep. After a while, Ken yawned, his jaw aching. He closed the door as it was lunchtime and he was sleeping soundly. He felt a tickle on his foot. His friend's leg. Ken drew his leg back and kicked Chris. "Ow, why did you kick me?" "Who told you to tickle my foot? I'm dreaming. How could I tickle your foot?" "There are only two of us in this house. If it wasn't you, was it a ghost tickling my foot?" As soon as Ken finished speaking, his heart pounded and he was wide awake. Immediately after, the blanket that the two friends were sharing was violently yanked away by an unseen hand and flung onto the floor. Chris and Ken were so terrified they couldn't even scream. They just sat there, frozen. The small room became suffocating. The room door was tightly shut, yet icy gusts of wind continuously blew through, making the two friends shiver. Chris stammered, "You said, with you here, the ghost wouldn't dare come, right?" Well, I thought so. I've never been scared by a ghost before, you know. So can we run outside now?" "We have to try to see if we can." With that, Chris and Ken both put their feet down, intending to bolt for the door. But as their feet touched the ground, they were violently pulled towards the door by an immense force. They both tumbled onto the floor right next to the door. Chris, trembling with fear, tugged at Ken's arm. "It's throwing us out the door. It wants us to get out of here. So let's run quickly before it changes its mind." The two scrambled to their feet and reached for the door, but immediately an extremely powerful force threw them both against the opposite wall. They both shrieked in terror. Chris was shaking uncontrollably. "So it won't let us leave? Oh, then what does it want to do to us?" The two were still utterly horrified when the truly terrifying and mysterious event occurred. A scene straight out of a horror movie that they used to watch together on their days off unfolded. Tables and chairs moved on their own, pots, pans, and bowls continuously crashed and broke with clanging noises. At that moment, strange sounds appeared, like someone whispering something very quickly. The entire room became chaotic with a ghostly, noisy mess. "Have mercy on us, have mercy on us." Ken clasped his hands and bowed repeatedly into the air. Chris imitated Ken, his hands continuously praying, begging the unseen entity. "If I have done anything disrespectful or offended you, please let me know so I can atone. Don't torment us like this, I'm going to die." Ken added, "That's right. If there's anything, just tell us what to do and we'll do it." Chris continued, "And please spare my roommate. He's not involved, don't harm him." Ken stopped praying and turned to Chris, scolding him. "Are you crazy? Friends share blessings and hardships. You're trying to escape by yourself, you stingy jerk." A shrill, eerie laugh erupted in the room, filling the ghostly atmosphere. A cold, chilling voice suddenly spoke. "I will kill both of you. There's no need to argue over it now." Both men were seized by an invisible hand, lifted high by their necks. They choked, unable to speak or breathe. Their legs thrashed helplessly in the heavy, ominous atmosphere that filled the room. Chris felt like he couldn't take it anymore. He felt that even if he died now, his only regret was not being able to do anything to repay his parents. In that moment of life and death, love and gratitude for his parents surged within him. His parents had toiled and struggled their whole lives to raise him. He remembered the meager meals where the little food available was always given to him. He remembered his father's sacrifices, braving rain and wind to call a traditional healer when he fell unconscious. He remembered his mother borrowing money for his studies and many other warm memories. He was about to die, unable to repay their immense kindness. Ken glanced sideways, seeing his friend's body go limp, and felt fear. But Ken himself was also struggling for breath. He had no strength left to worry about his friend. The feeling of his throat being squeezed, unable to breathe, was incredibly terrifying. His father's voice suddenly echoed in his mind, "You always cause trouble, my son." He actually liked hearing his father scold him like that. His father's scolding had no malice, but rather a loving, accepting concern. He had never been able to do anything for his parents, only causing them trouble. Yet, they had always been kind to him, only wishing for him to mature soon. But the day he matured might never come, because now he was about to die, and his parents hadn't even had the chance to scold him enough. Chris and Ken's struggles slowly subsided as life began to leave them. Suddenly, the door was violently struck, tearing off its hinges and falling to the floor. Two men stood tall at the doorway. One of them immediately shouted, "Chris, Ken, we're here!" The other man, a bald monk, quickly threw something like a rosary into the air. The rosary spun in a circle, passed through the air, then returned to his hand. The two friends collapsed. Ken's father rushed over to Chris and Ken, tears in his eyes. "My poor boys, are you still alive? Don't just lie there." Master Wei calmly replied, "It's nothing, they won't die. Their souls were just startled a bit. They'll wake up shortly." With that, Master Wei proceeded to perform acupressure on Chris, then instructed Ken's father to do the same for Ken. He pressed firmly on the Renjong, Philtrum, and Yongquan sole of foot acupoints. Ken, hearing this, asked, "Uncle, where are those points?" Master Wei replied, "Just do as I do. The Renjong point is right below the nose, at the upper 1/3 of the Philtrum groove. The Yongquan point is on the sole of the foot, at the junction of the anterior 2/5 and posterior 3/5 of the second toe's metatarsophalangeal joint." The two friends gradually woke up. Ken looked at his father in surprise. "Dad, why are you here?" Ken's father replied, "I found Master Wei. I felt a burning sensation in my stomach, like fire, so I rushed the master here to save you too, just in time. The master said if we were a moment later, your souls would have been taken, and even with spiritual power, he couldn't have saved you." "Thank you, Uncle and Master Wei." Ken looked at Master Wei with admiration. "Luckily, Dad found the master. Maybe everything will be all right now." Master Wei calmly replied, "Nothing is cert. We still need to find the root cause of your haunting to deal with it completely." Chris frowned, pondering. "I still don't understand why I'm being followed by a ghost. I can't remember doing anything to offend the spiritual world." "Everything has a cause. We must find the cause to resolve it thoroughly. Try to recall." Mr. David sighed, looking at the haggard appearance and pale faces of Chris and Ken. The two young men, barely in their early 20s, were still inexperienced in life. Yet, in just one day, both looked as tired as old men. He said, "How about you two go back to the countryside and rest for a few days?" Master Wei nodded in agreement. "Yes, that's right. You two should take a break from work and go back to your hometown to rest and find a way to deal with the ghost." Ken's father joyfully told Master Wei, "Please, Master, I respectfully invite you to come to my home with them. Our countryside home may not be as luxurious as in the city, but it's spacious. Of course, I'll go with them to help them out. Thank you for your heartfelt kindness, sir." "Why thank me, son? You're the one who should be thanking the master. I haven't done anything." Ken impatiently interrupted. "Have you two old-timers finished thanking each other? I want to get out of this room immediately. It's too scary in here." Chris agreed, "Yes, let's go quickly. If we stay until dark, it will only make the ghost bolder." Master Wei nodded in agreement and told Ken's father to prepare to leave immediately. After packing their belongings, Chris and Ken put on their backpacks and followed Ken's father and Master Wei. The four went to the nearest bus station to head to Ken's hometown. It was only 3:00 p.m., but the sun was already fading, and dark clouds silently obscured the sun, making the atmosphere gloomy and desolate. A cold autumn breeze, cool and refreshing, made the surroundings seem to be dipped in a melancholic hue. Ken walked beside Chris in silence. He knew his friend was scared, especially after what had just happened that afternoon. If it was like this in the afternoon, what would the night be like? The bus station in the afternoon was bustling with people coming and going, all in a hurry. No one paid attention to the group of 4 who were anxiously approaching. Chris followed Ken without saying a word, his mind blank, his face pale with fear and anxiety. He couldn't understand why this kind of ghostly story, usually only seen in movies, was happening to him. He couldn't understand why, recently, his life had been filled with one misfortune after another. From losing his girlfriend to now almost losing his life to a ghost that appeared out of nowhere to threaten him. Lost in his worried thoughts, Chris suddenly flinched. Across the street, a ghostly figure with long, familiar, disheveled hair was staring intently at him. Its hands waved for Chris to come closer through a bizarre mist. Chris's heart lurched, and he felt unsteady on his feet. Then, unexpectedly, the grotesque face suddenly appeared right in front of Chris. Its dark, sunken eyes glinted sharply, and its tightly stitched mouth stretched into a smile. Its pointed nose pressed against Chris's nose, sending an icy chill through him, making his entire body tremble. He felt as if all his strength was being drained. Chris's legs buckled. "What's wrong with you?" Ken quickly supported Chris. Master Wei turned around, his left arm supporting Chris's shoulder, his right hand making him a draw, muttering something no one could hear clearly. Ken and his father looked on in horror at Chris's pale face, drained of all blood, his eyes vacant like a madman's. Master Wei immediately said, "Get him on the bus." Ken quickly helped Chris onto the passenger bus, under the curious gazes of the surrounding people. A few concerned individuals asked, "What's wrong with him? Shouldn't he go to the hospital to be sure? Why take him on a long bus ride?" A man about 50 years old approached Ken's father and said, "He must have caught a chill. The weather today is so strange." The bus assistant shouted down, "Caught a chill? Do you have any essential oil? Here." A young woman behind Ken quickly stepped forward to offer Ken a bottle of essential oil. Ken was momentarily stunned by the girl's beautiful and graceful appearance. He had met many pretty girls, but never one as beautiful and caring as this one. Ken absently took the essential oil bottle from her fair hand. A sweet, gentle fragrance emanated from her, making him even more dizzy. Ken suddenly felt the world spinning, his head reeling. Like a spell, he completely forgot what he was doing or where he was going. He only heard the beautiful girl's soft voice saying, "Give me all your money." Ken was about to put down his backpack to get his money for the girl when Master Wei stopped him. "Thank you, young lady, but we don't need essential oil." Master Wei immediately took the essential oil bottle from Ken's hand and returned it to the girl. Ken stared at Master Wei in confusion, then watched the girl's graceful figure walk away with a look of regret. Once things had calmed down, Master Wei looked at Ken with a smile and gave him a small green object to smell. "The fragrance you smelled when you were near that girl was a charm of bewitchment. Recently, many people have been using this charm of bewitchment to harm others. Just a few whiffs, and a person's mind will be completely controlled." "Oh, really? Then what was that green thing you just gave me, Master? It helped me clear my head. It smells like mint, but it's not mint." "Of course, it's not mint, though it does have a bit of mint in it. I had to use quite a few ingredients to concoct it." At this moment, Ken's father, who was sitting next to Chris, grumbled to Ken, "This boy, all he sees is a pretty girl, and he gets infatuated. What's the point of using a charm of bewitchment then?" "Dad, you always speak ill of me." Master Wei smiled calmly and said, "It's nothing. It's just the instinct of young men reaching the age for marriage." The three talked while Chris silently leaned his head against the window, closing his eyes, watching the scenery pass by. The ghost, even when not visible, had embedded itself in Chris's mind, making him restless. Chris sighed, closed his eyes again, and tried to find sleep amidst his turbulent thoughts. The image of his ex-girlfriend appeared, filling Chris with a bittersweet longing. Her eyes were round and dark, her lips sensual, with sweet, passionate kisses. Her body was warm and soft, but now it was in the arms of another. Thinking of this, all the longing turned into bitter anguish, but Chris didn't resent her. He only wished her happiness. "That bitch will die with you too. I'll kill you first, then her." The ghostly, eerie voice echoed in Chris's ears, startling him awake. He looked around in a panic but couldn't find the source of the sound. Suddenly, Chris felt suffocated, as if an invisible hand was tightly squeezing his neck. The icy cold hand tightened its grip. Chris choked, wanting to scream for help, but couldn't open his mouth. His vision blurred, and before him, he saw only a terrifying face with deep, hollow eyes and a tightly stitched mouth that was still twisted into a smile. A shrill, cackling laugh echoed. Master Wei, sitting next to him, knew what was happening. He made a hand seal and tapped Chris's shoulder. "Chris, wake up." Chris gasped, panting. "I just heard a voice in my ear. It said it would kill me, then kill my girlfriend." Master Wei frowned, then paused, taking off the string of prayer beads he wore on his wrist and gave it to Chris. "We don't have much time then. Wear this bracelet to avoid further disturbance." Ken's father quickly asked, "Master, not much time? Does that mean we're all going to die soon?" Ken's father gave Ken a hard whack on the head, making Ken wince and cry out in pain. "This boy, such an ill-omened mouth, why do you keep saying such things?" Master Wei remained silent, leaning back against the seat, closing his eyes. Looking at the master's grave and lost expression, Chris and Ken's father and son didn't dare to say another word, letting the master think of a solution in peace. Everyone on the bus was silent, lost in their own thoughts. Some listened to music with headphones, some quietly gazed at the streets, others closed their eyes and slept. The driver and his assistant chatted idly, and occasionally the assistant would lean out the door to ask people if they wanted to board. The bus was moving smoothly along the road when suddenly the driver swerved sharply, the tires screeching on the asphalt as he slammed on the brakes. Everyone was thrown forward. "What happened, driver? Why did you brake so hard? Did we have an accident?" Questions poured forth. The driver and assistant looked dazed at the windshield. After a few seconds, the driver said to his assistant, "Did you see that?" The assistant said nothing, only trembled as he got off the bus. After a while, he returned looking bewildered. "There's nothing there. That's strange." There was clearly someone who rushed out in front of the bus, and I thought we hit them, but when I ran out, there was nothing there. Master Wei sighed. "If there's nothing, then let's continue. You two have done your part." Then Master Wei and Ken's father returned to their seats. Chris listened to the story, fear gripping his heart. It's true, that ghost couldn't attack me directly, so it caused trouble with the bus. Ken's father asked Master Wei, "Master, will it let the bus reach its destination?" "Don't worry, nothing else will happen." With that, Master Wei closed his eyes and began chanting scriptures quietly. Perhaps that was the Master's way of protecting everyone on the bus. From the moment Chris put on Master Wei's bracelet, he felt a sense of peace. Sleep quickly came, undisturbed by nightmares or haunting images. "Chris, my friend, where are we now?" Chris, sleeping soundly, was woken up by Ken's voice. Ken yawned and looked out the window at the familiar scenery of his beloved hometown. Chris said, "We're almost there. Wow, I thought your hometown was far away. I thought it would take us from afternoon until evening to get there. You think it's not far enough? Maybe you need to go to Mars for it to be far." Chris chuckled at Ken's teasing. The short nap had helped Chris regain some of his spirits. He grinned slyly. "Maybe those beautiful girls we saw earlier were from Mars. Take me there to get one someday, okay?" Ken, joining the stream of people getting off the bus, confidently replied, "Me get a girl from Mars. No way, I need a girl with the Thien Ko, Thien Dong, Dao Hoa stars, that's what attracts me." "What, on the universe there are strange stars like that? What are Thien Ko, Thien Dong, Dao Hoa stars?" Ken hummed, "Stars I haven't met yet." "Hurry up, you two, don't you want the master to get off the bus?" Ken's father urged from behind. Master Wei laughed, looking at Chris. "The stars Ken mentioned are from ancient Chinese astrology, not astronomy. Anyone interested in astrology would know." Chris let out a loud "oh." "My friend actually knows about those astrological stars? That's surprising." Ken puffed out his chest. "I know a lot of things, you just haven't had a chance to witness it yet." As they got off the bus, Ken's father patted his son's shoulder. "Tell me, when are you going to get married?" Ken grinned. "When my grand destiny arrives." Master Wei, getting off the bus, chuckled, looking at Ken's father, then patted Ken's head. It was already dark, though only 7 p.m. The quietness of the countryside enveloped them. "Here, this used to be a field of water spinach. This is where the rice paddies swayed. Listen, that's the sound of dogs barking and crickets chirping." Chris took a deep breath, trying to inhale as much fresh air as possible. It was a stark contrast to the times the ghost tormented him, leaving him breathless. He didn't know where this story would lead. He didn't know if this humble master could save him. Why had his life taken such a turn? Lost in self-pity, Chris flinched when he saw the shadow of a white bird flying by, its cry sending shivers down his spine. The sound made Chris feel even more uneasy. Instinctively, Chris reached for the master's prayer beads on his wrist, as if seeking an anchor. "I will do my best. You mustn't be too afraid." "Yes, master. I put my trust in you, and in heaven, Buddha, and my ancestors." In a short while, the three had reached the entrance of Ken's house. Suddenly, a pair of glowing green eyes appeared, accompanied by a fierce bark that made Chris shriek. Ken laughed. "Calm down, my friend. That's my dog, Ink." Ken's father also reassured Chris. "Yes, Ink is all black, so you can't see her eyes in the dark, but you recognize her bark, right?" Chris clutched his chest, sighing in relief. "Oh, really? Why did you choose an all-black dog, Uncle? It scared the life out of me." Master Wei chuckled softly. "It's because you're under the influence of negative energy, so you're easily startled. It's nothing." Mr. David nodded, watching Ink, who looked like a shadow with piercing bright eyes, staring intently at Chris. Chris still saw her as a ghost. Indeed, because of the recent ghostly encounters, Chris saw fright everywhere. Actually, Chris was exhausted, trailing behind Ken's father and Ken. Master Wei, perhaps feeling the need to stay close to Chris in case of any unexpected events, walked alongside them. The four people and one dog were walking when suddenly Ink ran to the back and barked fiercely. Everyone looked around, but saw nothing but darkness. All around them were only rustling leaves and swaying branches in the wind. But the direction Ink was barking wasn't at the trees, but at the middle of the road where there was nothing. Everyone stopped, confused. Chris and Ken stammered, pointing at Ink. "She's barking. The ghost followed us all the way here." Ken's father asked, "Where? I don't see anything." Master Wei stepped forward, then motioned for Chris and Ken's father and son to stand behind him. "It's here. Ink sees it and you're standing so close. Don't let it catch anyone." With that, Master Wei took something from his shoulder bag and scattered it towards the ghost, muttering incomprehensible incantations. Immediately, Ink stopped barking, only growling a few more times. Master Wei said, "The ghost is gone." Chris and Ken breathed a sigh of relief. Chris asked, "Does Ink always see ghosts?" Ken nodded. Ken's father confirmed, "Yes, Ink has been able to see ghosts and spirits since she was a puppy." Hearing that, Chris's gaze at Ink became more friendly. He thought that from now on, he would have a four-legged, all-black companion to help him face the ghost. Then, the four people and one dog continued walking. After her terrifying display, Ink didn't just walk straight ahead but circled behind, protecting the group. Her actions made everyone feel much more at ease, even though they knew she was just a dog. Ken's house had a gate made of iron and wood, about 2 meters wide, with a 1-meter gap for two people to comfortably pass through. Beyond the gate was a spacious courtyard, reminiscent of the boarding house Chris shared with Ken in the city. A few faint scratch marks were still visible on the red brick floor. Chris looked at the tall, spacious 2-story house with awe. They had been friends for years, yet this was Chris's first time visiting Ken's home. If it weren't for this ghostly incident, he wondered when he would ever have visited his friend's house, as Chris was always reluctant to visit others. Ken's house had 7 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. The kitchen and dining area were built separately, next to the house. There was also a storage room and a play area for children, allowing distant relatives to stay over comfortably. From what Chris knew, Ken's family company was prosperous. Ken, though he often caused trouble, always seemed carefree, rarely showing worry, unless he had done something truly serious. Greeting the four at the door were Ken's mother and his 2 younger siblings, 1 boy and 1 girl. Both children had bright, intelligent faces. Judging by their looks, both were diligent students, attending the village secondary school and excelling, not as carefree as their older brother. They seemed a bit flustered, looking at Chris intently after their polite greetings, having already heard about Chris's situation. Chris forced a smile and turned to Ken's mother. "Hello, Auntie, may I?" Before Chris could finish, Ken's mother cut him off. "Oh, don't be so formal. You're Ken's friend and just like one of our own children. Stay here whether you have a reason or not. Consider this your home, your family. Don't be shy." Chris was touched, his voice thick with emotion. Yes, Auntie, thank you very much. Ken's father patted Chris's shoulder. Oh, you two boys are grown up now? As Chris and Ken stood awkwardly, Ken quickly ushered Chris into the house. Ken's mother went to the kitchen, brought out a tray of warm tea, and placed it on the table. Master, please have a cup of warm tea. Your visit is truly an honor. Master Wei smiled and nodded. Thank you for your thoughtful hospitality. For the time being, to help Chris, I ask for your family's patience. Ken's father immediately said, Master, for my wife and me, Chris is like our own child or grandchild. Since he's in trouble, we should help him overcome this ordeal quickly. Please feel free to choose any room you like here, Master. Just tell us what you need, and we'll take care of everything. Master Wei nodded. Chris is truly fortunate to have a friend like Ken. Very well, with your permission, I will begin my work immediately. The master then wrote down a list of items for Ken's mother to buy at the market the next morning. Then, he asked to walk around the house. Chris and Ken's family watched Master Wei intently, none of them understanding what he was doing as he kept walking around. After a long while, he returned to the house, instructing everyone, and asked Ken's parents to light incense for their ancestors, informing them of the situation and asking for their help. After a quiet dinner that allowed Ken and Chris to regain their strength, Master Wei told everyone to turn off the lights and go to bed early. Tonight will be a long and intense night. Frightened by Master Wei's words, everyone went to their rooms with a sense of anticipation and worry. Chris and Master Wei shared a room with Ken. Of course, Master Wei wouldn't dare let Chris stay alone, especially since Ken had been so terrified by the ghost. He didn't dare stay alone either. Ken's mother and sister shared one room, Ken's father and brother shared another, and these two rooms were close to each other, also near the room of Master Wei, Chris, and Ken. No one dared to go upstairs. Everyone stayed on the ground floor to feel safer. Master Wei provided some herbal sedative, so everyone easily fell asleep. Only Ink, the dog, curled up in front of the house, half asleep, watching the courtyard. Drifting between sleep and wakefulness, with rain outside, the image of his girlfriend reappeared in Chris's mind. She gracefully walked towards him, her voice gentle. I love you so much, Chris. Chris replied bitterly, You said you love me, but you betrayed me, left me for a rich man. How can you say you miss me? She remained silent for a moment, still looking at Chris with her familiar dark eyes, and spoke in a sweet voice. Forest Ghost, you must remember, Forest Ghost. Forest Ghost, what do you mean? I don't understand. I always loved you, only you, she said, then suddenly embraced Chris. Her warm, soft body soothed all the bitterness. Her sweet, passionate kisses seemed to breathe life into Chris during his stressful and deadlocked days. Their legs entwined, giving each other passionate kisses. Then she slowly dissolved like smoke. Don't go. With a thud, Chris hit his shoulder on one side. Hey, what are you saying? Which girl? Are you dreaming of your ex again? Ken asked, yawning. Chris grimaced, looking at Ken and Master Wei, who were sitting by his bed. He said awkwardly, What girl? I'm still just missing my girlfriend. Still so lovesick and faithful, you poor soul, Master Wei said. You've had a good long sleep, from after 8 p.m. until almost midnight. You've regained your strength. Tonight, we'll stay awake. Stay awake tonight, Master? Why? Chris and Ken looked at each other. Master Wei looked thoughtfully towards the door. It's coming. It was around 11:45 p.m., just 15 minutes until midnight. Master Wei returned to his bed, sat cross-legged, and began chanting the Great Compassion mantra. Chris and Ken quickly went to the bathroom, then returned to their beds, muttering along with Master Wei. In the dark, silent room, Master Wei's chanting was a steady, low murmur that seemed to fill the space until the sun would release its warm rays. Suddenly, Ink barked ferociously. The wind outside began to pick up, at first just gentle breezes rustling the leaves, then growing stronger, like a beast pounding on the house and rattling the doors loudly. The wind roared across the tin roof, like wild beasts running on it. And even more strangely, in the wind, there were screams, whispers, and the distant hissing of something unidentifiable, mixed with Ink's frantic barking. The bedroom door suddenly flew open. Ken's parents and his two younger siblings rushed in, their faces filled with worry. Ken's father was about to ask, Did you kids hear anything on your side? Ken yawned, We heard it too, so Dad and Mom had to get up. Ken's mother said, "I've never heard such terrifying wind sounds until now." Ken's younger brother chimed in, "It sounds like a monster is outside in the courtyard." Master Wei finally spoke. "Indeed, there is a monster, but this one is more cunning than a typical monster." Everyone gasped and looked out into the courtyard through the window. The scene outside looked like something out of a movie. Trees were violently swaying in the wind. Dogs howled intermittently, chickens clucked in panic. Everything created a demonic scene. Ken's father quickly closed the window against the sudden gust of wind. What kind of wind was this that grew colder and colder, chilling their skin, their bones, and even their souls? Chris stammered, terrified, "Master, can the ghost get into the house? If it's stronger than you, it will." "It might. If it's stronger than me, it will break through." With that, Master Wei stepped outside, not forgetting to tell everyone to stay inside. "No matter what happens, you must not open the door until I call you, and I will call 3 times." Everyone nodded anxiously, their faces pale like banana leaves. As Master Wei opened the door, a chilling gust of wind swept into the house, making the whole house feel like it was freezing. Master Wei patted Ink's head. "Ink, go inside with everyone. It's not just a ghost you can bite out here." Ink wagged her black tail and went inside. She chose a corner near the door and curled up, her eyes watching every movement of each person. Since all the doors were tightly shut, Ken and his younger brother had to crane their necks and peek through the door crack to follow the events. Seeing Master Wei's calm, small figure amidst the furious, swirling wind, both brothers' hearts filled with anxiety. Suddenly, Ken and his brother heard muffled chanting inside the house. Everyone was sitting cross-legged on the floor, hands clasped in prayer. On the ancestral altar, several new incense sticks were lit, emitting a fragrant smoke. Ken then asked his younger brother, "Are they chanting the Great Compassion mantra?" Ken's brother replied, "Don't you know? This is the Shurangama mantra. Chanting it so forcefully is to banish evil spirits. They are terrified of the Shurangama mantra." "Since when did our family know how to chant the Shurangama mantra?" "For a long time already. You're always in the city. What do you know? Last month, someone in the village was possessed by a ghost. The spiritual master said to chant the Shurangama mantra for that person while he performed the exorcism. After the exorcism, the whole village learned the Shurangama mantra to chant at home for protection." As they talked, Ken suddenly noticed the incense on the altar burst into flames. The entire family stopped chanting, holding their breath, looking at each other in panic. Even Ink sat up straight, her eyes fixed on the burning incense. Ken and his brother quickly peeked through the door crack, but Master Wei was nowhere to be seen. The two looked around again and again, but in the entire spacious courtyard, there was only wind and more wind. Several old conical hats left out in the fields were blown by the wind from one corner of the yard to another. Ken's younger sister's white nightgown, hung out to dry, now fluttered wildly in the wind, looking like a ghostly figure. Broken branches and rustling, green and yellow leaves were scattered across the yard, like a scene from a movie. Ken instinctively reached to open the door to look for Master Wei, then remembered the master's strict warning. No matter what happened, they must not open the door until the master himself called, and he would call 3 times. Ken closed his mouth, not daring to tell his family about the master's disappearance, fearing they would worry. His younger brother understood his meaning and also remained silent. After a while, the burning incense mysteriously extinguished itself. The atmosphere suddenly became strangely silent. No more wind pounding on the doors, no more thudding footsteps on the roof, no more screams, no more dog howls, no more ghostly whispers. Everything was still, a silence so dense it felt suffocating. The entire family looked at each other in silence, no one able to chant the Shurangama mantra anymore. Chris finally asked, "So, what does this mean? Has Master Wei driven away the ghost?" Ken replied, "I don't know." Ken's father said, "If it were over, Master Wei would call at the door. Since he hasn't called, it's probably not over yet." As Ken's father finished speaking, a familiar voice echoed from outside the door. "Ken, Ken!" Ink, who was lying near the door, immediately bristled, her fangs bared, growling ferociously. Ken's younger brother, hearing Master Wei's call, eagerly rushed to open the door for the master. But Ken pulled his arm back. "Have you forgotten what Master Wei told us? 3 times?" Everyone fell silent, listening, waiting for the next calls to feel reassured. Chris anxiously looked out the door, desperately wishing for another call from Master Wei, but the space remained silent. No more knocking or calling. Ken's younger brother mumbled, "So what does that mean, big brother? Is Master Wei collecting the ghost?" Ken suddenly felt worried. Master Wei was over 60. At that age, even just walking in and out of the house could be tiring for old men. Yet Master Wei had bravely gone to confront the ghost. Could his strength be failing him? Just as he thought this, Ken's eyes met Chris's. His friend's eyes gave Ken a bad feeling. It seemed Chris also shared Ken's thoughts, also worrying about Master Wei. But before Ken could say anything to reassure his friend, Chris dashed to the door like an arrow. The door swung open before the startled eyes of the whole family. Chris shouted into the silent darkness outside, "Master, how are you? Are you all right?" There was no reply, only darkness and silence. Compassion and self-reproach surged within Chris's heart. "Master, if something happened to you, it's my fault." Ken's sister and mother gasped beside him. Ink stood in front of the house, her neck craned, whimpering intermittently. Ken and Ken's father still couldn't believe the cruel truth. Had Master Wei truly passed away? And the demon? Master Wei had protected them with his own life. Chris wept. He had only met the master for a day, but both he and Ken's family had grown fond of him. He was a true practitioner, humble, devoted to helping others without seeking fame or fortune. Now, he had lost his life because of Chris. Chris felt immense sorrow. Ken patted his friend's shoulder, comforting him. "Don't be too sad, my friend. If Master Wei drove away the ghost, he has won. It's a glorious victory, even in death." Chris nodded sadly. Yes, a glorious victory. He was truly amazing. As Chris finished speaking, suddenly, a gust of wind erupted from the middle of the courtyard outside. An eerie voice coming from hell echoed, "Victory, you haven't won anything yet, I am here." Chris and Ken's entire family screamed in panic. Ken's mother pulled her children closer. Ink barked fiercely again. Chris, terrified, grabbed Ken's hand, trying to pull him in, but it was too late. Chris was pulled towards the center of the courtyard as if by a giant magnet. He struggled and cried out, but could do nothing. He was lifted more than 2 meters off the ground. Ken could only stand there, looking up and calling his friend's name in helpless despair amidst the raging, biting wind. Only Ink stubbornly continued barking. Her barks, though useless, at least provided a small morale boost in this unequal battle. Suddenly, from the darkness, a rosary unexpectedly flew through the air and wrapped around Chris. A familiar voice echoed nearby. "I said you must wait for me to call 3 times before opening the door. Chris, you fool." "Master Wei, the master was still alive." "Yes, I am still alive. I just banished the ghost to another realm so it wouldn't affect everyone. But when you, Chris, inadvertently broke the barrier, the demon returned." Chris looked at Master Wei in awe. At this moment, Master Wei looked much older, his hair seemed grayer, his wrinkles deeper, and his breathing seemed very labored. Suddenly, a cackling laugh echoed from the air, accompanied by an extremely eerie voice. "You're not dead yet, but you're close to it, old bald-headed monk. Your spiritual power is waning. If you want to live, let go. Give up that rosary, or I will drag you down with me." "Never, you evil spirit, stop now and you still have a chance to be reincarnated. If you stubbornly continue to kill, the karmic debt will be irreparable." The demon laughed shrilly, its laughter filled with resentful malice. Ink, infuriated, strained to bark fiercely. As the demon finished speaking, Master Wei coughed up blood. Fresh red blood oozed from the corners of his mouth. The master's blood splattered on the red brick floor, making the scene even more tragic and hopeless. Master Wei clutched his chest and collapsed. Ken quickly rushed to his side, worried. "Master, are you all right? Let me take you inside." Master Wei spoke with difficulty. "No, if I go inside, Chris will surely die." The ghostly laughter echoed again, making everyone's hearts sink further. "Die? I'll make all of you die and reunite in the underworld." "No, asterisk, you are the one who will go to the underworld." A voice, both familiar and new, belonging to a girl, appeared, shattering the deadly atmosphere. Chris looked up at the roof, startled. "Lily, why are you here?" The newly arrived girl looked up, horrified. "Chris, hang in there, I've come to save you." With that, she shouted loudly, "You scoundrel, quickly retrieve that ghost or your career will be ruined. All the bad things you've done will be exposed online. Your family will live in shame and you will die in disgrace." A well-dressed, middle-aged man stepped out of the darkness, his voice deep and resonant. "You lied to me. You only entered into a relationship with me to find a way to save him. That penniless, useless man over there. Why do you have to suffer like this for him? Think about it, it's not too late. With me, you'll be rich your whole life, and your mother won't have to suffer either." Lily replied, "No parent in this world can be happy when their daughter lives with a demon. I've said enough. Retrieve that demon right now." As Lily finished speaking, she was suddenly struck by an unseen force, thrown violently, dropping something she held in her hand. She was then lifted high into the air next to Chris. Chris looked at his girlfriend, his voice strained. "You're so foolish." Lily smiled through two streams of tears rolling down her cheeks. "I never betrayed you, Chris." On the ground, Alex rushed forward to grab the amulet Chris's girlfriend had dropped, but Ken was a step faster. He ran forward and stomped on the small red gem with all his might. A cracking sound echoed, filling Alex with horror. The gem on the red brick floor was broken in half. Alex's career, his protector, his wealth, his fame, everything he cherished was in that gem. He snarled, like a cornered beast, and lunged at Ken. At this moment, the prayer beads that had been wrapped around Chris began to unravel. The beads flew everywhere, glowing with a golden light. The space gradually brightened with a miraculous, sparkling golden hue. The wind stopped blowing. Ink looked up at the sky, bewildered. Ken's house was no longer under attack. The cold, ghostly presence vanished, replaced by a spreading warmth. Chris and Lily collapsed into each other's arms. Chris rushed to help his girlfriend up, checking her pulse. "She's still breathing. She's still alive, thank God." He didn't know what to say in the face of her sincere love. He could only hug her tightly, filled with gratitude. The human world was so vast, so unpredictable, and for a poor man like Chris to meet a loyal and faithful woman like her was truly a blessing. Ken and Alex stood there, shocked, looking around. Alex seemed to have gone mad. He screamed, "That forest demon, it can't be defeated like this." "Why?" Ken quickly rushed to Master Wei, who was still sitting cross-legged, blood still oozing from his mouth. "Master, are you all right? What happened?" Master Wei regulated his breathing and replied, "When I realized it was a forest demon and saw the gem Alex wore around his neck, I knew how to confront it. Buddhist teachings are profound." Alex immediately roared and lunged, grabbing Ken by the throat. "I won't accept this. I will kill one of you. You must die." Ken gasped, choking in Alex's steel-like grip. Master Wei struggled to his feet, intending to save Ken, but he coughed up blood again and collapsed. Ink lunged forward, sinking her teeth into Alex's trouser leg and pulling him, growling. Alex kicked Ink hard in the head, sending her flying. That was the moment Ken broke free from Alex's grasp. Then Ken and Ink both attacked Alex. Alex was exhausted, his whole body aching, but Ken was still very resilient. Ink, being a well-trained dog, only ran around barking, creating a distraction for Ken, but did not bite. Chris, horrified, watched Ken fighting Alex. He wanted to pull his girlfriend away and rush to Ken's aid, but Chris had no strength left. He couldn't even walk. Unexpectedly, Ken's father and younger brother appeared, simultaneously punching Alex, sending him sprawling. Ken quickly tied Alex with a rope. When morning came, they would turn him over to the police. Ken's mother and sister helped Master Wei, Chris, and Chris's girlfriend inside the house to tend to them. Ken's father, looking at his son, smiled. "Today, my troublesome son has finally grown up." Ken replied, "I grew up a long time ago, Dad. I'm just showing it today." The father and son both laughed heartily. Half an hour later, Ken's mother and sister brought out a huge pot of chicken porridge for everyone to eat and regain their strength. Ken's father was surprised. "When did you prepare this pot of porridge, Mom?" "When I heard Master Wei say we'd be staying awake tonight to fight the ghost, I slaughtered a chicken and cooked a big pot of porridge." Hearing that, Ken exclaimed, "Mom, you're amazing." Ken's father smiled, proudly watching his wife enthusiastically invite Master Wei and the young people to eat porridge. Ken then turned to Master Wei and asked, "Master, so what were those things Mom and I bought yesterday evening for this morning? I thought they were for banishing the ghost." Master Wei smiled. "Those were just offerings for the ancestors, thanking them for their protection last night. Without your ancestors, your family would have had a hard time surviving." Ken's mother then asked, And Master, when you were out in the courtyard, I saw the incense on our ancestral altar burn, then extinguish itself. What was that about? That was when your ancestors manifested to help me. Oh, really? That's amazing, Ken exclaimed in awe. Chris, however, didn't join the conversation, but lovingly fed his girlfriend spoonfuls of porridge, watching the scene, hoping the two would soon become husband and wife. After eating the porridge, feeling tired but relieved, Chris and his girlfriend went to their room with Ken's mother and sister. Chris and Master Wei still waited for Ken's room to rest. Ken's father and younger brother, after feeding Ink, also went to their room, not forgetting to praise her. "You're such a good dog, Ink." Ink, having eaten porridge all night and now praised, wagged her tail happily, her eyes half closed as if smiling. At 8:00 a.m., when everyone had recovered, 5 police officers arrived. Ken's father happily handed the no longer dapper Alex over to the authorities. After taking Chris's girlfriend's statement, they took Alex to the detention center to await investigation. Last night, the online community was abuzz with a thrilling story, thanks to what Chris's girlfriend had posted. Alex was involved in an international money laundering organization, drug trafficking, and human trafficking. The police had been investigating him for a long time, but lacked sufficient evidence. Perhaps due to the ghostly interference, and with the evidence Chris's girlfriend provided, Alex would soon face justice. Ken's father asked Master Wei, "Master, are you feeling better now? Please stay until you're fully recovered." "Are you asking me to leave when I'm well?" "No. If that's not what you meant, then please stay with us forever." "Thank you, family, but it's time for me to go. Returning to the Tin Duong Pagoda is more suitable." Chris said to Ken's parents, "I am eternally grateful to your family for saving me from this ordeal. I will never forget your kindness." Ken's mother quickly replied, "I told you from the beginning, why are you so formal? When you two get married, be sure to tell us and we'll come to bless you." "Yes, but I still need her opinion. She's so beautiful and talented." Ken laughed heartily. "Oh, Chris, she went through hell and back for you and you're still asking for her opinion?" Chris looked lovingly at his girlfriend, making her blush. Chris then asked, "Lily, will you marry me?" She smiled and replied, "I'm willing to die with you, so why wouldn't I want to live with you?" Chris was overwhelmed with happiness amidst everyone's heartfelt cheers and congratulations. Master Wei smiled and said, "When you two are ready to get married, remember to tell me. I would like to attend your wedding and bless you." After many happy farewells, a group of 4, carrying their backpacks, set off: Chris, Lily, Ken, and Master Wei. Master Wei wanted to return to the pagoda soon to recuperate and restore his spiritual power. Chris and Lily wanted to go to the city early to work and prepare for their wedding. Ken, feeling bored in the countryside, also decided to join them back to the city. The 4 walked leisurely on the village road, bathed in sunlight, as if their future was brightly shining and opening up before them. Chris would take Lily back to meet his parents soon. Chris's parents couldn't believe that their only son had returned from the brink of death, accompanied by an excellent friend and a wonderful future daughter-in-law.